Hello everyone, I am Snehashish Bala
And I am Rishna Kumar.
and we are here to interview the General and Deputy General Secretary of the Board for Student Publications for the midterm review series. This is a series to assess the progress of our elected representatives for the respective boards. First, I would request both of you to introduce yourselves first.
So, hi everyone, I'm Abhinav. I'm the General Secretary of the Board for Student Publications. This is my third year at BSP. So, I was a media freelancer. I went on to be the media chief editor and lucky enough to serve as the General Secretary at UAE.
Hello everyone, I'm Nikhil Gupta. I'm the Deputy General Secretary in Board for Student Publications. I'm a fourth year student in Chemical Engineering and I was a journalist in my second year. Then Chief Editor of Journalism in third year and now the Deputy General Secretary. Happy to be here.
So, what according to you is the importance of BSP within IIT Delhi, and what are the responsibilities that come along with leading it as the Gen Sec and the Deputy Gen Secretary?
You want to start?
Sure. So, the role of BSP within the IIT Delhi system is to hold, is in multiple parts. I'll go after the one. Firstly, it's an idea of putting everyone accountable, whether it's the administration or whether it's the student administration. So, you really need a media body to be there so that the people who are in power are not given a free rein on that power and they're actually held accountable. And that is the idea that we try to hold true to ourselves. Apart from that, within the IIT ecosystem, what we also have seen is that there is a large amount of information asymmetry with regards to a lot of things. So, when we try to tackle that, we try to bring out series like second year intern, a lot of other things like topicals that happened. There was one on RDB, there was one on um, and there will be one that will be coming on the Zanskar 4 mess incident. So things like this, we try to ensure that all of these incidents are something where there is a lot of rumors, there's a lot of rumor mongering, and we try to ensure that there is a actual authentic detail of events that happened on campus. Our role specifically within the board is not what you would expect. Most of the journalistic work, most of the most of the work with regards to leading the projects is something that chief editors handle. We have four verticals specifically. We have the journalism and creative verticals, which are involved with interviewing people with ensuring their projects are started and covered on multiple topics. Creative, which ensures that a creative aspect of our community is also upheld and we are able to provide a platform for that. And design, we look for all of the beautiful pieces that you see on our Instagram and on our website. And media, which is the newest vertical, which covers a lot of our interviews. Our role specifically is to be an administrative front. So any problems, any concerns, all conversations with regards to funding, with regards to publications, with regards to organizing of events, most specifically to Literati, that is where it peaks. That is where we are involved, and it is supposed to be of a leader of the board in some sense to guide the chief editors who at the very beginning of the tenure are uh, have just moved on from journalists and techies and are fitting to their role, kind of help them get through that and ensure that the board has a specific direction. That's there.
Right. So I think Abhinav covered it in very detail. I think I just want to add, like, apart from the journalist and creative things that we do, I think there's also the need to be some kind of strength body where people can believe, like, where people have the trust. For example, if someone is facing a problem, so what can he do? Like, he can post on WhatsApp, he can post on Instagram, where there is a limited reach where he can get. And if it's some kind of problem, so also there is a kind of limitation in gathering support for that. So I think in that part we came into a such thing. So we, being a journalism body, we have also trust of the people that whatever we publish must be of some depth and also must be true. Or and we also do a lot of research in that. I think we are different from what you see in media and TV, etc. Like, we are not going for breaking news that ये है तो breaking news आ गया तुरंत. Like, it's there is a bit delay in our reports. That is usually we go for the authenticity. We go into the depth. We talk to a lot of stakeholders, almost all stakeholders that we can get. So that's why I think there is a need of such a body where people can trust, where students can trust, and that can be a voice of this brand. So this is addition to what Abhinav has already mentioned. And I think the role, yeah, again, we do administrative tasks. That is our main thing. So that's why we are not so much on ground in terms of like in the project, etc. Because we have to do a lot of background work. We have to attend meetings with the deans, meetings with other general secretaries, etc. So yes, and we provide wherever there is necessary information or necessary support in the project. So chief heads come to us and discuss about the projects whenever they want. So these are the roles of G and DG in the board.
So for my next question, as you did mention that because you have to do a lot of surveys and you have to get a lot of background checks, so there are delays in the projects.
Right.
But although we do understand that, but still we have been through half a semester and yet content output has been low. We've seen that. So how are you planning to rectify that? So although there are scenes, but how do you plan to?
Uh, okay, I will take that answer. So yes, so for the BSP, I think delays has been a major problem since all the tenure, and every tenure GDG want to like tackle it. So what me and Abhinav already discussed at the start of the tenure also, that how we want to ensure that delays are not there. So I think there are multiple reasons for the delay. One of which is the gap between the content and design vertical, and if there is media also involved in a project, and that gap also. So what generally happens is that the meetings for each of these held separately. So that leads to like a misinformation or like time gap between the verticals. So that's why we want that such meeting should happen a priori, and firstly such meeting should happen together also. So there is one meeting maybe with chief editor of journalism if it is a journalistic project, media and design together, and also if we want that work should also be together start parallelly. So if the content survey interviews are going on, so the design also should going on, because once you get the name of the project, you can decide what the theme of the project should be. So the design work is also going on parallel. So the only work that is remains is just like copy pasting the data after we get it. So one is that. Second is also with regard to permanence. So a lot of delay also happens due to the journalistic project involve a lot of interviews, and in interviews it's not just in the hand of BSP. So for example, if you want to interview a dean, we mail them, so sometime we get ghosted, so we have to meet the deans, and then they also schedule interview after sometimes, and maybe it's not the case when we went there to take the interview, the dean is not present there because they are also very busy people, they have a lot of stuff to do. So I think these things also, when something is not in our hand, that can happen. So I think we have like had meet with chief editor to, and we also discussed this, that for that we can do like we can have interview planning since the beginning, and we can also allot a specific team for the interview, so that interview can go parallelly, and also uh, we can decide that that what are the interviews which we want to take and how we should focus on them, so that that work and other survey etc work which is only our responsibility can happen parallelly, and there that can be ways. Do you want to add something?
A couple of things, a couple of quick things that I would want to add. One is that the core assumption is that all of the students that are working in BSP are student volunteers. We're not professional reporters and journalists. It's not that we spend all 24 hours or like whatever waking hours we have exclusively in journalism. So you have to respect the fact there are myths and examination, that there are projects, that they are involved in other votes as well. So you can't expect the same level of speed. But what we do try to do is two things. One, when you look at a lot of external journalistic bodies or journalistic bodies in general, the idea of being journalistically truthful, of reporting facts and allowing the audience to make their own interpretations and things that do fall in that ambit, I would not keep you for longer. But these are things that we ensure that we do. That is with regards to the journalistic content, with regards to the content that we put out in terms of both how we write it, how we frame it, as well as the design. I think you will find very few bodies that would meet the standards that we have set. So that is something that we pride ourselves on, and that is something that we do not want to let down. So that is with regards to that. What you would obviously, Nikhil mentioned it's a government institute, so there are a lot of delays with regards to that. Um, what has specifically been the problem this tenure has been that we decided to have a change of vision of sorts. So the classic projects that are started at the very beginning of the tenure after the chief editors are through with the end season are two, which is one, need the G6. The other is second year intern. Given the second year intern has been going out for 4 years, I think that there is very little information, the asymmetry that we are covering at this point. And with regards to neither research, this is something that I had taken on in the last tenure. And both of us, when we went for general secretaries, we had reconsidered what we wanted for the tenure. And neither research was a product that we thought was redundant, because you don't want to know, ki, okay, this is a general secretary. I can read the web result, ki, acha, he is general secretary. I want to know ki, what the fuck he's actually trying to do with regards to all of problems that the campus community is facing. And that is something we're trying to bring into fruition here. Other things, obviously,
And also we have a lot of projects in the pipeline. So journalistic projects are inherently take a lot of time. They can go for 1 month. They can also extend to 2 months. And there are projects with regards to one project on discourse which is coming, another project about library renovation. So there are projects in the pipeline. You will see a lot coming in the next few weeks.
So, as you mentioned, that journalistic projects take a lot of time, and you had mentioned that there are pieces and you have to do a lot of work in that as well. And there were creative content as well that comes under BSP.
Right.
So, but as the trend to the previous tenure as well, in the previous tenure, the journalistic output has been low. Although the main focus, as you said, was for BSP was to inform the student body about what is happening on campus. The journalistic projects has been on the low, and there were like two specific journalistic pieces which were quite major. One was on menstrual health, and the other one animal survey. Last. So, what are your opinions on this? What happened? What maybe went wrong or went right last tenure, and what do you plan on changing, if anything, in this tenure?
Okay, so I will take it first. So I think with regards to what went wrong last tenure, so a lot of projects started during the last tenure, but I think uh, most of them involve a lot of interviews and surveys. So I think basically if I target the interview part, so as I already told you that they get delayed a lot because of the fact that the deans are not free and etc. kind of things. So I think so still I think we have a lot of data also from the last tenure which we can utilize this tenure also. So there are a lot of projects. For example, you talked about the animal review wala project. So we are planning to have a second part also. It's and we have the data. So it cannot be published last year due to there's delays due to like interviews etc. And there's a new thing which is coming. So we need more information in that aspect. So what the problem is with the journalist project is that you cannot predetermine that how long it is going to be. So for example, with creative project, you know that this project has specific boundaries with it. So it is going to be covered in 1 2 week. For journalistic project, when you for example, when you go and interview a professor, they will tell you that, oh, this is the topic. You should meet this XYZ professor also, XYZ person also. They can tell you a very good insight about it. So then you have to add these to interview also because our main focus is to be as coherent and as inclusive as possible for a project. So that's why it expands a lot during the tenure. So I think that's why in last tenure only 2 projects got I think published, and there are a lot in the pipeline. So what we change in this tenure also that we try to start a journalist project from the beginning. So that it if it get expands etc. So we have the necessary time for it to like cover that expansion etc. So I think that's why that is the main change which we get to include that kind of sort of things. And also we have a focus on interviews also. We are very proactive in mailing deans etc. Whenever there's an interview, we try to like meet them in their office also. For example, during a library renovation where we are facing such a problem that people are not replying to us, so we are I think quite proactive in like meeting them in their office, in their room etc. To get minimize these delays. I think in this tenure we hope and I think surely we will do better than the last tenure in terms of more journalistic project coming. So yeah, you will see that. Do you want to add something?
I think it was comprehensive enough. I'm not
Okay. So we know that BSP is a board and we work under an admin and a president. So how much control does the admin have over what BSP publishes? And if you were like to publish an article criticizing the admin, what were the obstructions that the board would face?
right. Yeah, I'll take this. So, with regards to the administration, okay, let me start you. Constitutionally, there was a provision that we managed to include in the 2020 Senate meeting that was approved, which it basically states that as long as anything that we're publishing is factually true, it's something that's sticking with facts, there is no person within the IIT Delhi ecosystem or outside that can make us remove that. So that is something. It was finally ratified. We passed it in 2020 Senate. That's a technicality. But the idea being that if anything is strictly and sticking to the truth, if it's stated as a fact, as something that we can verify with regards to a source, with regards to a document, with regards to something, someone who's willing to bet for it, and that is something that no one within the IT ecosystem or outside can make us remove. And that's it. And that is the spirit of journalism that we try to uphold within the entire board. When it comes to uh, what is the independence that we have with the administration? Obviously, we work with the administration in a lot of things, and we tend to cooperate with them when it comes to it, and they cooperate with us when we are busy with Literati, with regards to budget, with regards to funding, all these different things. But I think that in no way would you find us hesitant or holding back with regards to any problems or any failures with regards to both the student government and their shortcomings, as well as the administration and their shortcomings. If anything, then that is exactly what our job is. It is to hold the people in power accountable and to ensure that policy responsibilities that are there on their shoulders is something that they truly manage to go through with.
And with regards to what power we have and the administrator have, so I think we do publish without asking the administration. We don't have to vet any article with them. It's different if we are involving their speech or their interview, then we do get them that this is the thing which we are publishing about what you said. And it is also not that they will edit the piece and give it to us. We If they want something to get removed or they want to discuss or add something, they will try to come to us and have a discussion with us. But I think administration has the thing that they sometimes call us G and DG one more responsibility, that they do ask about specific articles, that what is the purpose of that article, why is it written, what are the proofs. So we go and discuss about with them, that we give them more proof and we tell them the importance of such a product. So these kind of things happens a lot in the background, literally a lot.
See, you continue all the previous terms that about the cooperation with the administration in general. So members have said that there was an instance this year where the president sent out a mail regarding the screening of the movie Emergency without consulting any student in the board, although the constitution clearly states that the president has to consult the students from the board before taking any decision. So what are your opinions of this situation and what discussions happened after it, and how would these kind of situations be avoided in the future?
We want to take.
Sure. So yes, this is an incident that did happen. There was a mail that was sent out with regards to an event that was happening during the summer vacations. That caught us off guard as well because we were not aware of it. We found out about it from the mail as well. Um, and so a little bit of context to answer the question. Our current president is someone that took office in February, and both so from the beginning of the tenure, both us and them have kind of been trying to adjust with regards to what the office holds, what are the powers and responsibilities, how our constitution functions, and how the board functions. So immediately when we found out, this was something that we ourselves were not going to. We did not go ahead and which screen anything or produce anything that has any political connotations, etc. And we did not desire to be associated with anything with regards to that. That was our main view. But what is also paramount is something that you stated, which is key. With every single event, with every single decision that is taken with PSP, it is important that student leaders of this board are kept in the loop with regards to all of this. And this is a concern that we immediately raised with our president and informed her that that is something that is not yeah, A, is something we were not aware of, and B, this is not something that is within the bounds of our constitution. At which point she acknowledged the fact that it was not something that she was aware of, and since then, and so at that point of discussion, and since then we have been on the same page with regards to every single decision that is being taken by the board is something that will be a corrective decision, and in no way can that be made without the consent of the student government leaders. Yes, I think we addressed that as well
Exactly.
to the IIT audience.
So currently, we use the board uses traditional outreach methods like WhatsApp groups and Google Forms, and that often results in low response rates, especially when conducted surveys, which is an important part of what VSP does, gathering feedback in general from the student body. So, what innovative strategies can be implemented to ensure a higher responsive rate, and which can ensure more representative participation?
Right. So, yeah, we also address it during making our SOPs for the possession, because that is a very important part, because a lot of projects involve surveys, etc. So I think what new can we do apart from getting it posted on every WhatsApp group of every hostel, and also on the what draft or the mail draft guys or ITC notices. So apart from that, we can take some other channels also. We can also print the poster of that service and get it posted a lot of location, for example LHCs, hostel, etc. Because you have seen that there are notice board at every location at IIT Delhi, so we can print posters, we have in QR and have in link on those boards. And secondly, also we can get a mail on the webmail also. So webmail is the official channel to address anything with the student. So we don't have directly access to that, but we have indirect access in terms of our president can send a mail to everyone, or ADSE, the Associate Dean of Student, even they can also send it. So we can request them to send a mail to everyone. So I think with these things, for example, I think every student opens webmail at least multiple times in a day. If not, then they should, of course. So I think with that, I guess the publicity and the survey can be improved. This is the thing which is regarding the publicity of a survey, and tackling to answering the survey. I think most of the people don't have time will for those things. So I think if we have subjective questions, if we have high number of subjective questions, that leads to reluctance in like answering a survey form. So I think we can have as many as MCQs as much we can. And also we also try to involve a strategy that rather than you are requiring to write a subjective question, because sometimes it's necessary to get the background story. Sometimes it's not that everything can be told in MCQs. So I think we do things that you can give your contact to us. So, and you can tell the preferred method that do you want to meet offline or do you want to talk to us on chat or call, and we can call you if you're very much interested in a specific topic. So these are the method I think which can involve, and I think we are doing that, doing this in this tenure to like have as much as responses as possible.
Yes. One small add-on to it. So, and a couple of suggestions that I had in my mind, which didn't come to fruition or might not come to fruition. So the idea of filling surveys also depends. There's a certain balance that you have to maintain between the length of the survey and whether the person will be able to fill it, and with regard to how comprehensive the information have to be. That is a very fine line that we have to walk. But the idea of surveys is also that you want the survey to have actual general information. So, for example, at the end of the semester, this is which. So, at the end of the semester, you take reviews for how the course was led, and everyone fills the survey. And I don't know about others, but I use a extension where all of the answers are auto-filled. I'll be completely honest about that. And because at some point I haven't written a lot of the lectures, perhaps I don't want to put it. So when you go ahead and force people to fill that survey, and that is not a very effective means, because you might get a lot of survey results, but those won't be authentic survey results. There's a lot of bias in that data. So what you want to ensure that you have suggestive means. You would organically push the survey in terms of how interesting it is, in terms of um like the outreach from the team within our body, in terms of multiple follows, in terms of extension, in terms of using offline mechanisms like BSW apps, or password DOCs, all of these people who can get survey responses. So these are things that uh, actually allow us to reduce the noise that is there within our data set, even though the data set might be smaller than we would want to reflect. Uh, I would say that we have been reasonably successful with regards to our outreach in most of our surveys. So I would just give some figures to back it up. Last year we floated a freshers survey that was meant to be filled by 1,200 Bindaing freshers that were onboarded. Of that, I think 480 freshers filled that survey, which is a pretty good number given that they were in the second semester. For the senior survey for the graduating batch, the number was around 280. That is also again 1,200 students. Uh, and that would be a pretty good number for someone who's about to graduate and is likely to know regards to how and just want to enjoy in the last semester. With regards to how this can be increased, obviously access to these things can be improved, which is why we try to go with posters, all of these different things, posters, sharing links on webmail, on Google Mails, WhatsApp groups. Um, at one occasion we had used Moodle. There is a very interesting idea. So in the year that we were onboarded, so 2022 batch, there was a Moodle course that was floated by the then chief editors who had included the freshers over here. So they had a very good response rate in that sense. So the access is something that is a big thing. There is one very interesting idea that exists in a lot of Southeast Asian universities that I'm just putting in as a joke and also a suggestion to the administration in case they're listening. Um, which is like they have a concept of food coupons. So most of the food stalls that are there have food coupons. They don't have actual money, and you can kind of cash that in to use within the system. And so filling every survey as either a lottery system in case it's not a very important survey, and if it's an important survey, then it allows food coupons at the filling of every survey, and it's attached to your email ID. So that just ensures that people would just go ahead and cut. contribute to that system or participate in that system because there is an incentive for you at the end. So something like that is obviously very good because all of the measures that we follow up until now are suggested. Measures where there is some sort of reward definitely help. Sorry for taking so long, but this was an interesting question for you.
So yeah, I would shift this topic to something a bit different on what we're discussing right now. So PG participation has been very less in the previous years, right? And how do you intend to change that given that PG recruitment hasn't happened yet?
Right. So, sure. So, I think the problem which we face, firstly, the most important thing is problem identification. And I think we are very vocal in this tenure about that we should identify the problem because I think since the last tenure or last to last tenure, I think our approach was that we should firstly recruit the PG people via recruitment process. Then we will cover their topics because they would be the people who would be doing most of the article about themselves. And then we will have a kind of visibility that, oh, we are BSP and we're also covering the PG article, and more people will get interested. So I think the flaw which we faced and the problem which we face in this approach is that the very first thing, which is that most our idea that the PG people will come into the board during the recruitment. I think this is the flawed because if you have seen that only 1 2 PG people, PG journalists come to our board every year, and I think this is a major problem because only these number come, and also they have a very hectic tenure and hectic schedule. So their participation in the project is also has been very less. I think in this tenure, what we are trying to do, we just don't wait for them to come then to cover their issues. I think we are trying to first cover their issues by like actively engaging with them. So even though project is being done by UG journalists or UG people, still we want that other PG people who has been very vocal, for example PG SAC secretaries, PG CAC secretaries, so we get to them, talk with them and have an active discussion with them. So I think we can have projects even though done by the UG people about BG topics, and I think after the projects happen, then it will create traction among the people, and then I think it will help us to get PG people, the trust of PG people in our board, and they will automatically apply with this. One example is that last year we had a project about during the monsoon there was rain, so there was a flood in the biotech department which we have seen. So the first floor, the underground floor, all gets submerged, and the notes of PG people, machine, etc. There was a lot of loss. Their laptops and their notes, so their research, so everything got submerged, and so it was a very like devastating situation. So there was an article which was written by a PG person. I don't want to name because that article isn't anonymous. So I think it created a lot of traction among the PG people. It
5,000 views.
yeah, it got and also we receive a lot of messages from the beach people that how much they how much they resonate with such a problem, and they were very thankful to us that we covered that topic. So I think this similar approach would be to first cover their matters which matters them the most. Then I think automatically they will come to a board. So if not, if it is not visible in this tenure that PG people are coming, I think in next tenure it will definitely
It's a cascading effect. Right. It's a chicken and egg problem. So obviously more PD bulk coverage will lead to more PD prosecution in some sense. I think this is the issue that we take very seriously. We're done it.
yeah, and then
So this is an issue that we definitely take very seriously because if you look at the campus demographics, I think there's 7,000 PG people, 5,000 UG students, which means that there's a majority of students on campus whose issues are not covered in some sense, which means that we as a body are not doing our jobs truly and very effectively. With regards to their participation in our body, it is very important. It is very important because if PG people are not there on the table, then their views and their opinions will not be taken. So if any survey or pieces or any project is being undertaken, there is a certain a very major section that whose opinions were not taken, which is why it is something that is of utmost priority for us to set the context. Um, with regards to the participation in the board, one obviously this is something that you'll find across the board. This is something that you apart from SAC where there are elected positions there, but apart from SAC you'll find that for the vast majority of boards, you will see that there is little to none PG participation. This is something that all of us are moving towards, and this is something that we hope to achieve for different purposes. For our board specifically, uh, obviously we want that coverage, but to ensure that all of the things that are mentioned in project are something that are comprehensive.
just want to add that by PG term, we meant PG, PhD, MBA, and also BDes also. So for BDes, we did a very good job in this tenure. I think this was the first tenure when we have design techies from BDes also. We like went there and we have like very active promotion of like design techie position to them. And I think a lot of forms got filled and we ultimately have two BDes design techies. So to वैसे it's a low number, but you will see that the batch is only of 20 students and they have no prior, I think, experience with BSP. So there are two BD students also, and I think we will do better with regards to PG people, MBA people, and PhD people also. Yes.
So like excluding stuff that involves interviews, obviously, which are not in your hand, like when they'll happen. How are deadlines established and what strategies are implemented to ensure that they are met? And we have been told that design techies are sometimes given unreasonable deadlines. So, what can be done to ensure that everyone is given a more reasonable timeline to work with so that there are no delays?
Okay, so I think with this regard, I think uh we advise the chief editor to give the deadline, but I think it's mostly in the hands of chief editors only because they are the people who are in charge of a specific project. So they are leading that project. So I think we cannot just so I think every team is different. So I think the requirement of this team, every team is also different. So we cannot just say that there's one approach to give deadline. And then because what works for a specific chief editor and a specific team is different with that report. For example, some chief editor with their team prefer to have more online meets rather than offline meets. Whereas some chief editor prefer to like call an offline meet, then everyone is writing on that spot and having a discussion. So I think it's up to them. It's completely up to them as long as we are getting the projects. So what are the deadlines they are giving? So what when I was a chief editor, what I used to do is that since during the meeting, during the offline meeting, I prefer offline meeting than the offline meeting. Sorry, it's a voucher, but yeah, it's my style of work, and I think it works better for projects to complete in deadline. So I used to discuss among everyone during that spot that what should be the deadline. So it's not that I'm proposing a deadline; they are themselves discussing and coming on a common consensus. It should be it should be reasonable. They just cannot say it after 2 months actually. So I think coming to a consensus. So I prefer that consensus model of giving the deadline. So every chief editor prefer what suits them. Coming to that design deadline, which you are saying that design deadline sometimes unreasonable. I think with that regard, I think the issue which I also mentioned the previously also, it happens due to miscommunication between the content and design team. So if there is a content chief editor and the content work is over, so they want that project should become as soon as possible. So I think there is miscommunication. There's miscommunication between these design chief editor and the content chief editor about the deadlines. And so I think for that there should be an active meeting between them during the start of the project. So I think the project work in design and content should go parallelly, and also due to the active conversation, the content chief editor also uh, gets the idea that how design is progressing and how design is getting done. So I think they will also get an idea about it. And I think design skills. So I think we have seen a lot of participation of design techies in the journalistic activities and content project, but I think the opposite is not as much true. I think we will try to have like because design is an essential skill, and sometimes there is a very little design is needed, but still project get a lot delayed because we are waiting for a design techie, etc. And also this miscommunication stems from the reason that many content people don't even know the basics of Figma, etc. So I think for that, we are planning to have workshop for everyone about design skills, basic design skills, so that everyone get an idea that how design progresses and how the timeline for design gets progress. Yes.
So, Nikhil, you mentioned in your SOP that you would establish a dedicated proofreading team of 3 people for RFE publication. So, what is the progress on this, and has this been done for any project that that the board has published so far?
Now we are getting in the grilling part. Okay. So yeah, so it's basically not about the 3 people. What I want to establish is 3 tier proofreading mechanism. The basic idea behind is that during last tenure we faced a lot of problems with regard to that. So sometimes the project get published, then we noticed or some of our friends messaged us that, oh, this is the error which has in this project. So I think in multiple occasions we need to put down such a project, and so I wanted to avoid this. I think in this tenure, so what I have done, so automatically this is being done in some project with regards to the fact that uh, firstly, the project is read by the journalists which are working on that project, then the chief editor, then I specifically read that project. So it is itself a three-tier proofreading mechanism. Some example is that the recent project about the Nescafe piece. So it's a creative article which has a lot of proofreading because it is dealing with the sensitive topics, and so we to be very sure that everything is covered in a very sensitive way, in a very like not a way that people get hurt. So I think I proofread it, and the chief editor is working on it. Hemang Sanskrit have also proofread it, and we like encourage the journalists so just not to write, also proofread it. So I think we also established what we say is that if the article is written in four part by four journalists, so we like allotted a different part to a different journalist who has not written it to get a newbie a view of that article. So that also happened. So I think in that way, it is a three-tier mechanism. We are following it for every project. So I think in this note, with all the projects which are published, I don't think that there is any incident of like we putting it down and after correcting, putting it again with respect to the proofreading part. Right.
Oh, yeah. So, okay. So now this question is for Abhinav. Okay. So, Abhinav, there is a point on your SOP which emphasizes inter-IT collaboration for a combined piece in academics, student life, and mental health.
Right.
So, please outline specific journalistic bodies you intend to engage with and the strategy for initiating and maintaining these cross-IT collaborations.
Right. So, firstly, I would ask you guys to put a public link in the description just so that you can see my entire SOP. With regards to the bodies that we intend to collaborate with, a lot of different IITs have excellent, absolutely amazing journalistic bodies. The ones that I specifically did have in mind were Insight from IIT Bombay, Vox Populi from IIT Kanpur, and the Fifth Estate from IIT Madras. Because these are the ones that both in terms of scale and in terms of output, similar to the ones that we have. And so, and you would often observe that the kind of pieces that we would, so there is some amount of creative freedom that all of us choose to take in terms of the kind of pieces that we choose to bring out. Senior Survey was something that was inspired from another IIT, for example. That was the first time it came out last year. There was a Spotify design that we brought out for it on the end of the year, as in like how that video went. So it was a very funny video in the sense that you missed text classes, how had by all-nighters, etc., etc., etc. And this was something that was copied by all of the other bodies essentially. What this means is that both. So that is the idea with regards to the competence of these bodies. The idea with regards to the kind of pieces that we are doing, it's something that is actually underway. So the disco project that Nikhil has already mentioned, we are going ahead with, explores the procedures of disciplinary committee that is set in IIT Delhi, with the things that are within their purview, with the actions that are taken, with the committees that are set up, and with what are the um, things that are considered as actionable by the disco committee. Now, this is something that has been there at IITB since time immemorial, since the section of the colleges and science. There is something that differs with all IITs, as with the veracity of the incident, the degree of the punishments, all of these are things that vary from every IIT, which is something that we wanted to incorporate within the piece, because of which I think Nikhil was leading that project primarily. We have reached out to the Fifth Estate, we have reached out to Insight, we have reached out to Rurgi's Boschau, and we are managing to collaborate on such projects. Apart from this, there are a lot of other issues that I've actually mentioned on my SOP, that things like mental health, things like academic lives that exist there, because which is also covered in some extent in a couple of our previous articles. So the first you will find that the CGPA systems are different in every IIT. The kind of curriculum is different in every IIT. So all these different topics is something that provides a lot of interesting insights for people within our campus and for those outside, of how the different the IITs might like look at the same, and you look at them in a pecking order of sorts, but they're actually different in a very subjective quality. That's something we wanted to highlight.
So we know that freelancers receive an ECA for their work, which can be converted into a POR upon successful performance, while journalists directly receive a POR for their work. So, can you elaborate on the process and the criteria for this conversion, and how frequently does this happen? and who is responsible for making these judgments?
Okay, so I'll correct one thing in the question. The journalists and the design techies can also be demoted with regards to if their work quality or the amount of work that they put is both in quality and quantity and other there factors. Keep that in mind, I'd say, but I think you're safe at least for now. Uh, so I think that is something that we keep in mind with regards to promoting and demoting people. And that is something that goes both ways. Obviously, freelancers have a higher burden to share, given the fact that all the journalists have worked on Inception, which is a major piece for one, and they have an entire year to work for. Freelancers obviously have a more limited window to work within the road. And we try to hold them on a similar benchmark, if not the exact same. Um, the idea for this is to ensure that, unlike most posts where you are elected into the position and you get the PO at the very beginning, which leaves you with a certain amount of optionality with regards to whether you want to continue the work or not, and it requires only encouraging mechanisms for the most part for to ensure that these people work. We want to ensure that people are truly rewarded for the amount of work that they do with the amount of the contribution that they made to the board. And this is why this is a system that has been going on for at least 10 years. That is, to my knowledge. So that is with regards to why we hamper it. And this is something that is strictly for because there is a certain cap, plus minus perhaps, that we ensure that every single vertical will, that is the number of viewers that we will award. And at the ending of the tenure, we float a form for all of the journalists and technical editors. Obviously, they want their viewers if they worked out. So other than do fill it up. And we go through the responses we discuss within the editorial board that is going out and the general secretaries about the quality of work, about the veracity of the facts that they have reported. Because कोई बोल सकता है कि मैंने यहाँ भी काम कर लिया था. We have to check कि कितना काम किया था, वो कैसा काम किया था. So all of that happens and we come up with a conclusion whether that post should be awarded a view or not. It also allows a lot of incentives for the freelancers to actually work because otherwise the bar is very low and there's also some discrimination that can happen. So a full-time journalist or technical editor can in their mind construct themselves to be superior in some sense to the freelancers. We ensure that that is not true because anyone involved in any mechanism. What we are also trying, what we tried last tenure and what we are also trying to do in this tenure is quarter reviews and midterm reviews of every single board. So what we have managed to do successfully in every single board is that the chief editors have gotten together, they maintain the work progress and the work review of different technical editors. They followed up on technical editors who are not working to inquire that it might be a serious episode in their lives that you want to step back on it. It's something that or something that is a miss on our part. We ensure to take feedback on our part within the quarter reviews and we ensure to give them feedback on their part. And ideally what we want to do is that by the time that the midterm reviews come up along, certain so for the quarter review we'll give warnings to certain full-time journalists and technical editors and we'll try to ensure that if the quality of work and the amount of work that they put in is low and still low, we'll eventually phase them out and how freelancers come in and take up the battle.
Apart from that, I also want to add that I think we are the only board which have dedicated awards for freelancers also. So last year, two freelancer got the award. By award, I meant the annual award, which happens at all boards night in like in March or April. So we have dedicated awards for freelancers and a lot, and I think every year freelancer get such awards also. So this is one more mechanism for them to have incentive to work in BSP. And we have every year we have a very good freelancers which do much more projects than an average journalist do. So I think we are very good with that side of mechanism.
I think what we should have clarified for the audience who doesn't know about BSP of freelancers basically. So BSP does not have a elective system of sorts. We have a selection system for all of our PO holders across the years, and we recruit them at the very beginning of the year to work in the team, and that is something that is a very meritocratic system. At least that is what we try to ensure on our part. And the problem with this is that at the very beginning of the tenure, since PRC and BSP, unlike PRC or VSA, which is a activity-based organization and has a lot of student participation, BSP is something that not every fresher might have knowledge about. And because this information is asymmetry, they might not be able to join the board at the very beginning of the tenure, or they might not have made that there. But it's through their dedication or because they got to be aware of it because of their batchmates. And if they do want to apply, they get another opportunity at the very low tenure to apply as a freelancer rather than a journalist, which they grew up in a time wide text. So that's the system.
So there's this that you mentioned freelance in your PhD said that you mentioned freelancers have less time compared to a journalist.
Right.
So this is with the context that freelancers are recruited a bit later,
Right.
maybe in the mid-tenure or something. But this is contradictory to what you mentioned in SOPs that freelancers would be recruited early and that could be done in a two-phase plan. Right. So what do you have to say on that? And currently, as we know that freelancers are not been recruited yet. And so what do you have to say on that? What is the progress with that?
Imam, follow the progressor.
I think I will take this thing. I think when we make our SOPs, I think that is to keep in our mind how we want to shape our project, shape our like tenure if we get that position. But I think after getting elected, so everyone has to sit together, which we do in in our boards. Is that me and Abhinav sat together and we discussed our point. So then we have like common SOP, common points, and sometimes I have to put my points down because there's something which is in Abhinav SOP which we found it is much more better for the board, and similar vice versa. And also we had a meet with chief editors also because they also have their SOPs with regards to the function of board. So I think after that we have a common thing which we will follow in alignment, right? Aligned common thing which we will follow in the tenure. So I think not every point which we have written in SOP get followed due to the problem, and now also there are problems with regard to which we cannot predict beforehand. So I think all in my SOP also I mentioned about multiple settlement of freelancers, and he also mentioned about. But I think doing this project, which I can tell you the problem which we face, I think with regards to like I also tell you that there is a lot of long term projects which we started during the start of the tenure. So I think even though we wanted to recruit the freelancers, but we felt that that the all the journalists which we have, all the design technical editors we have, I think not everyone is getting engaged in all the projects which we have. So I think for our first way is that we want them to get engaged in multiple projects because they are long term projects, not so we don't have a lot of projects in quantity, but we have some long term journalistic projects which are very much better in quality. So I think after that, when we like we ensure that every journalist is is in some project, and we have some other work for the other people also, and we are requiring diverse talent for the people, then we will float it. So I think yes, so we have an SOP that we will do freelancer recruitment early also, but I think we felt during the tenure that it should be delayed. That is in the interest of the board. So yes.
Manifesto is a North Star of sorts. It's what we aim for, but inevitably, as any person in power or anyone in a political position, we fall short. It's better to fall short of high expectations than low ones.
Average politician response.
So we top player Rebo.
हम दोनों की बात कर रहे हैं.
Maybe valid, yes. But we hope to take this on. Depends on how the tenure progresses forward. That is also something that is up in the scope of the, and that is in scope. It might just happen. Let's hope.
Right.
So both of you have mentioned this in your SOPs, and you've been consistently mentioning that you have multiple projects planned. So have you prepared
बस नहीं हो रहा कि हमारे में
he specifically mentioned that the BSP calendar would be prepared at the start of the tenure. So what is the progress in that? And you also mentioned that the projects would be announced at the start of the month. So why did you feel the need to do this? Is this habit?
you want to tell you, do you want to take this session?
Do you want to take it?
Okay, so this is the problem. So this is the point that multiple generations of general secretaries and multiple editorial boards have tried to tackle at varying degrees of success. The reason for this is that if you do not tabulate and sort of maintain the timeline of the there is something that can easily get down out of hand. So we try to maintain a calendar so we have some perspective with regards to how the next 3 months and how the next calendar year to a very broad extent would look like. And accordingly, we can schedule projects within our calendar. So that if there is a project that's say not as important or a project that is not something that we can manage to fit within our calendar, then we would pay. By looking at the calendar, we can make a holistic decision that okay, this is not something that at least Chief Editor X has a bandwidth for. Chief Editor Y can take it up. Or this is something that is not possible to be done in this month. This is possible to be done in the next. That is with regards to the logic for the calendar. That is something that was supposed to be internal for the editorial. There was another calendar that was supposed to be released before the end of the month, so that journalists would have a holistic idea with regards to how what are the bills that will be coming up in the next month, and accordingly have their priorities set with regards to what projects they want. for this to make more sense, I will set the context. We have a first come first serve system that is mostly existent in our board, and which is something that is very problematic because essentially you are charging or penalizing people who are not eternally online in some sense, or like not online at the right moment if not anything else. And this is something that is very unfair in some sense, right? You shouldn't punish a person who's competent just because the person is not online. And that is something we try to do to some extent. We've actually managed to do it in multiple projects. We have floated 2 to 3 projects together. We have at least tried to be qualitative with regards to what is the interest of the person in the project. So rather than having first come first serve, for the vast majority of projects that are not urgent, we have tried to ensure that float a form and we team responses of the second use or the journalist and technical editor team about their interest, about how they would be able to contribute to it or why it aligns to them. And we accordingly try to schedule with regards to their current their interest, their kind of answers, as well as how committed they are with regards to other projects. Because there someone is there for 4 projects, we will not allow it. We'll perhaps give the chance to another one who does not have a project allowed at this moment. So that is something we have tried. The calendar, the internal calendar is something that is underway and mostly completed. I think it is something that we have shared in the group. It's something that will be adding the inputs for everyone and will be postulating on. The external calendar is something that has been tried every year, but it's something that's very difficult to foresee because one of the wonderful joys of the role of a chief editor is that you get to take up a project that you're interested in. And it's difficult to kind of predict the project that you have next month to some extent. So there are a lot of projects that are taken up in that sense. Another important point would be that a lot of projects are topical in some sense. So you can't ensure to predict for it. You can't make room for it. So, for example, if there is a mishap that happens in RDV, or there is a mishap that happens within the OSHRF or something like that, that is not something you can predict for in some sense. So that is also something that we have struggled with in some sense. I think we want to add something to it.
No, I think this is a fair response.
Yeah. Thank you, yaar. Bala, abhi.
So now the next question is regarding BSP's official website. Okay, so the recent TLDRs were posted on BSP ka Substack, and other articles are usually posted on the website. Isn't this ineffective? And if both speed and outreach are the priorities, outsourcing the website or utilizing Substack for the entire thing or something like Medium could be useful instead of using a website that hasn't been updated in the last 2 years.
Ouch. Yeah. So, do you want to take it? I can take it off.
I can start with the answer because I think with regard to the website, I think our domain expired, so we need to renew that. So I think we, so you can say that we should have the expiry date in mind and we should have done it before. I think, but it was a responsibility of the previous tenure
I
order.
don't think they mentioned that.
Sir, so with regard to the website, so our domain recently got expired and we renewed that. So our website is all available now also. With regard to the TLDR, I think for TLDR, we publish it in a news kind of format. And I think Substack is much more effective with that regard because people do subscribe to Substack with their webmail ID also. So when our TLDR gets posted in a Substack, it automatically gets to the webmail of a lot of students. So, and we posted to our notices by ourselves, and for getting it posted on webmail we need to get permission of our president and then our ADSC etc., and takes a lot of time, and TLDR is something which
Even I think delay is something to try to avoid.
and TLDR is something which should be as soon as possible because it's new, so it will get like expired or it will get spoiled if it takes a lot of time. So I think Substack helps it in that way that it automatically reaches to the webmail of a lot of people. And with regard to website, I think you want to.
So okay, ठीक है. So basically, that Substack का वही answer है mostly कि it is a quick project. It's supposed to be done in 3-4 days. It's supposed to cover what happened in the past 15 days or something, and that is why we try to roll it out as fast as we can. We prefer an interface that actually is able to handle that in a better setting. Substack is very easy in that way. It's also something that is very well received by audiences. So we choose to go with that medium. That is something that is working for a very long time. With regards to a website, it is something that has been active for 2 years and that can directly be correlated to the change that we made in our constitution 2 years ago that you perhaps did not foresee the problems that were raised by this change. The change that was made was that for the longest time, for at least 6 or 7 years, we had the role of a website chief editor. This was the person that had a couple of technical editors under classically 4 or 5. And these were the people who would constantly update our website, keep it fresh, integrate new features, try to make it as attractive and alluring as possible. Uh, but the problem with this position was that this is something that did not fit in the overall structure. Journalists, design techies, and media technical editors, all three of these have a journalistic role in itself. All three of these see significant participation within the body of BSP. Website editors, in some extent, were kind of freelancers or outsourced workers. So the feeling of the chief editor at that time, as well as the people with under him, was that they were pretty attached to the board, and this is something that can be outsourced to a technical secretary or something like this. The institution of that position or such a vertical is something that we have not done in the past 2 years. Um, so that is one part of it. That is the reason why the website has not been updated for a long time, because we don't have the capacity right now. Uh, the oth- the other part of it would be that we are trying to migrate our website from, currently if you'll notice it, that's dspidt.com. We're trying to migrate it to dsp.idt or dc.l. This is a problem that happened, I think, 7 8 years ago. And this is something that, because bureaucratic elements are involved, requires a lot of follow-ups, a lot of delays. It's something that we have, because we struggle with across tenures on following up on and managing to have put through. And this is also something you notice with every other board and society, that MOMs might not be updated, teams might not be updated. Simply because that's something that goes through a bureaucratic process. We have the mechanism in the website that will be onboarded and embargo completely ready. That was something that was done in the past, and now currently we're trying to push it through CSC and ensure that it is something that is onboarded in our website. Once you have that, I think you will have a much easier time, because it is a very easier website to code with and work with, and B, it will obviously handle the delay that exists. What we are also trying to do, and which you and something for which the form is about to be released, I think, is the position of the technical secretary and technical exes. So this would mean that there is a pool. This is something that is followed across a lot of boards, where there would be a position for design uh, ECO or POR being given, or design credits being given as an incentive, and the person would be helping us with that part of the work, so that this is not something that chief editors would have to worry about outside the already humongous task that they have in front of themselves.
So there are this is a different topic. So there are certain allegations or claims made by other people. On who are these people? So we have gathered information that on certain PSP articles or in generic stuff that people do use AI within BSP. There are claims made by others. We don't know whether it's true or not. So what is BSP's policy on using AI for content? And at which stages is it allowed, if it is allowed?
Strongly handy weak.
Okay, and how is switch identified for journalists does incorporate into their work?
I think like being chief editors, like for me, I think I have been on the board for like last 3 years, so I can easily identify what is written, if it's AI or not. And I think all of the chief editors, GSEC and DGSEC, we can identify that what is written, if it's AI and not, because the creative standards, the writing standard which we have are like, it's not very averaging what Insti have. We have, for example, in recruitment process, we have a very lengthy recruitment process for journalists. With regards to, we have an offline writing test, we have an online form also. So the whole purpose of this offline writing test is to check for AI in the online writing test. So if someone has like used AI in the online form, we can, or we also see their offline form also, that which they have written, so we can check that the quality of writing in that form and that response in the online form also. So have uh, we can have this thing, we easily identify, and once it is identified that such a response is written by AI, so during the recruitment we have like cancer the recruitment of a lot of people, just because of the fact that they have used entirely AI to create the stuff. And also the AI is not so much good in writing bluffs or writing the creative pieces which we do. So if you go to the BSC website, which, and when you will read the bluffs, you will get that the quality of bluff, it is not just be like thing by the AI, is just be created by AI. So I think our standards are such that the AI is discouraged, and also our chief editors, and I think everyone is very vocal is very against the AI. If we find that any journalist like he has used the AI, we try to talk to them, we try to like make them understand that AI is, it's not just that it is like using less time so you should use that, it is like our standards are such that you should not use AI. So I think it's not written in our constitution, but I think the unofficial policy is, which everyone agrees in BSc, is that you should not use AI for writing or for thinking. And because the beast gets very boring if you have used AI, and secondly, also it's very easily identified. And also, you will, I think, the one of the very good advantage of BSp is that your writing skills get very much honed, and your speaking skills also. So yes, so I think the better writing skill get help while you are, for example, writing emails, or when you are in corporate, you have to like write something which is very urgent, so you cannot use AI. So then also these skills matters the most, and it also helps very much. So I think if you are in BSB, you should utilize such a medium to write by yourselves. And also, we don't judge on bad entries or bad writing. We like that you're fine with working exactly. The chief editors helps a lot while you are writing. So they like call you, they have a mean, they will tell you that how you should how you should do it in a another way or better way. So I think we have a lot of mechanism to get you better once you are in the board. So we just want your interest in the board and interest in getting your writing good. And I think if you will read the BSP creative articles on the site, I think we are very proud of our writings, our creative writings, because they are not being used by AI, and they are like very much good. Yep. Why are you laughing? Do you use AI?
I'm with design techie. I can't use AI. Can't.
Makes sense. But the cool question is, but the question is कि अगर AI use करोगे तो तुम्हारा मोहित जाएगा मतलब हाँ exactly why do you exist as a person in our board if the AI is big the word for it? The unique quality that every person adds is their creative element, their living example that they bend into or they fill into whatever creative piece that they are working here. So it's important that is something we have noted always what, and that is something that would eventually lead to a lack of fulfillment of our duties as well. Because as a board, obviously we have a huge responsibility to the entire campus, but the responsibility that we have towards our team is providing them with a community and providing them with some amount of improvement in terms of skill, access, etc. And that is something that this really pays for.
Exactly. And also one more thing which I want to like boast about. If you will see, for example, the syndicate competition which happens every year by the lit. So it is a competition in which you have to do the creative writing, you have to write stories. So every year it has been seen the top positions are held by the BSP members, BSP journalists, BSP chief editors this year also. So yeah, this is also one of the proof that we have the best writers on campus. CS.
So, okay, and now I'll be asking one of the biggest questions that everybody is asking and wants to know from you all, that what is the future of Literati? What is the status of admin funding, and do we have approval to build it?
We do take it.
हाँ, मतलब sadly this is the biggest question, but we have a very boring answer for it. So it's in the discussion phase, so we cannot reveal much of the information yet because we are discussing with the deans, with the president, etc. So it is in the discussion phase. But since the if the literati is to happen at the specific schedule in which it is happening in previous years, so the work has to begin in like a few months, in the next few months.
Starting of October is the classic time.
So that's why I think right now we can say that we are in the like very strong discussion phase with the Ds and etc. So we are very proactive in that. So you will get the next information very soon about it. We will officially release the recruitment if
one way or another you'll get the news for it. We basically have a meeting that is scheduled with the administration, right? The Dean of Student Affairs, Assistant, Associate Dean, students, our discipline, and us will get to a deal. We will discuss another time, right? Of all of this. But I think that I would be fairly optimistic about the idea of literati happening. I don't think that obviously our administration would want to encourage student journalism and would not want to put every interest to it. And given that we are a board of our own, our schedule is something that we have organized for at least the past 15 years, and it is something that we totally, and the administration also totally wants to win in the future as well.
right.
So, is there anything else you would like to add, or any message you would like to send on behalf of the board to the people of
If someone has doubt what are these posters, I just want to say that this is first draft, the official competition of BSP for freshers. So yes, this is it. And
But hey, it was fun to be here. If you do have any criticisms or appreciations, I appreciate it. This please do let us know through.
And I think,
Senegals.
yeah, I just want to add that BSP is one of the very few boards that we are very open to criticism by any external. Like, even if we are not open, so it's not that people don't criticize us. People do criticize it a lot. And I think we are very open for it. And I think we might have perception of being very close knit or very elite kind of community, but it's not. That people are very responsive to whatever you want to do. And so if there's any project or there's any specific issue which you want BSP to cover, even if you are not a member of VSP, you can talk to any journalist, you can talk to chief editors, you can directly reach out to me or Abhinav to tell that what are the specific issue which bothers you and we should cover, and we will take this very much. I think we do have a very diverse kind of team, diverse in the sense that people from various branch, various clubs and various hostels, etc. So we get a lot of information about the various things which are happening. So it is being said in the community that BSP has a very huge and very true kind of gossip group, that we have the information about anything happening very much in our own unofficial group. So yes, we do have much information. So sometimes even though we know a specific issue, but it's still the project is not there due to the fact that there are other kinds of problems which we face, maybe due to delays or maybe due to uh kind of data which we want in a specific project, it's not available. So I think that is the case, but still we are very open to any feedback or any criticism or any ideas which you have, very much keen to listen.
Yes. Yep. So thank you to both of you for taking out your precious time to talking to us. It was fun talking to both of you.
So answer from us.
Yes, it was very done.
Bye bye.
Good job.